welcome, and thank you for choosing to hang with the PodRats. I'm Brayden. Today I'm joined by Christian and Hunter. And in today's episode, we will be reviewing episode 10 of The House of the Dragon. But before we get into our review, go ahead and follow us on our socials, on Twitter at @the_PodRats and on Instagram at the PodRats. You can listen to these episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Amazon Music, and watch us on YouTube. Now that I got all the plugs out the way, let's go ahead and get into our discussion of this week's episode, The Black Queen.
You think we got listeners on Amazon Music?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Amazon Music strictly for my mother if she ever listens, because I know she has Amazon Music. So
I've never heard of anyone
Really?
that has Amazon Music.
I haven't either.
No,
I think I got Amazon Music, like a free trial when I bought my Alexa, but
yeah, I did too.
that's about it.
my guess is only like older people who don't have Spotify might have Amazon Music because they get their Androids, and I think that's like one of the premier Android music things, right?
No,
No,
no, you use Spotify.
Well, I mean,
Maybe like 8 years ago. I don't know.
know.
I think most people just use Spotify.
It's on the come up. Maybe.
I don't think
Well, if we
Possibly.
have Amazon Music listeners, thanks for listening.
that was a good start to this
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
It's finally here. It's the end. Sad face. We're all
Man.
sad.
Man, it is the end, isn't it?
It's a bittersweet.
It flew by.
Yeah, we get another episode, but it'll be the last one for a decade because of how Game of Thrones schedules and how long it takes for them to come out with new seasons.
Yeah, I mean, they're not even set to start filming the next season till like early
Next
next year, right?
Yeah, it'll probably be a spring 2024.
Yeah.
Wow.
We'll be a
Release.
grown man.
This podcast will have taken off by then.
Yeah, I know. The funny part is too, like, this was the season finale, and like I didn't feel like many people were talking about it really being the season finale. You know, they're just like talking about it being another episode.
You know, that's a good point, actually, because if you think about it, to me at least, it doesn't actually feel like a finale.
I know.
If that makes sense. I guess it ends on a big note,
Mm-hmm.
but it just doesn't feel like it felt like this could easily have been an episode 8 or 9. I feel
Yeah.
like, and then you move on.
Yeah, all the episodes just flew by. So like this one came, and like it didn't really sink in that it's done until the credits rolled, and then I was sitting there and I was like, "Dang, it's really gonna be like 2 years until we get another episode of this."
Yeah. I mean, what a great first season, though.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I'll probably have to rewatch it before season 2 comes out.
Yeah,
Jog my memory on everything.
that, or you could listen to the podcast.
Yeah, we'll just listen to every single one of the episodes.
Technically, the episodes are shorter
That is true.
than, well, the podcast episodes are shorter than the House of the Dragon episodes.
Yeah,
so
Yes.
it would be faster to just listen to the podcast on your daily commute.
True.
But I'll probably watch it again.
Yeah.
Okay. We're plugging the podcast to the podcast listeners right now.
Yeah.
Well, we can dive into how this episode kind of kicked off with one of the big things being Rhaenys, fresh off the ending of the last episode, comes into Dragonstone and informs Rhaenyra and Daemon that Rhaenyra's father is dead.
Really didn't sugarcoat that one at all.
No.
Nope, there was no sugarcoating. Rhaenyra literally just asked how Corlys was, and she said, "Nah, your dad's dead."
Yeah, your dad's dead. Your brother is king now.
Your dad's dead, your brother's king. Sorry.
Yeah,
And then she immediately goes into labor with that news.
Yes. That's stress-induced labor right there, man.
yeah.
Got stressed out and then just... I don't know about if that baby is a...
Yeah, R.I.P. baby.
I don't know if that baby is going to be a future character in the next season.
R.I.P. baby. It's never a good day when the umbilical's wrapped around the baby neck. R.I.P.
It is pretty messed up when you think about it, where Rhaenyra gets this news and then immediately she's reminded of probably why she got usurped as heir to the throne. You know, she goes into labor, and that's a big, the big thing is she's a woman.
Wow, that's pretty deep, honestly.
Thanks,
man. Yeah, it's a very, very good
I
thought.
honestly
right
didn't
there.
think about that, but
She gets an immediate reminder. Yeah, then.
just off the top of my head, man. This is just
these are great thoughts.
Yeah.
Great thoughts.
But no, it is pretty messed up when you think about it like that, and how she, in a way, doesn't have control of the situation just because of her position as a woman,
Mm-hmm.
Because as soon as she goes into labor, then you have Daemon going like head full of steam and already plotting war plans and stuff like that.
Yeah, he did. He took old Jace out there and was like, "I'm going to show you how to tell if people are loyal to you."
Mm-hmm.
And he took those Knights of the King's Guard out there and intimidated the fuck out of them with Syraxes.
The bloodworm.
Bloodworm.
Yeah, we did get to see pretty quickly whenever Rhaenyra does get the news that she has been usurped. She immediately declares herself queen, the combating king and queen. And then we start to see the alliances happen and, who is actually going to be loyal to her and stuff. And yeah, then Daemon starts doing the whole, me and Brayden were talking about it when we were actually watching the episode, but we get to see Rhaenyra and Daemon, the dynamic kind of, because the last couple episodes, I feel like it hasn't even been that bad of a dynamic. It's just been like I feel like a normal couple.
They've been pretty step and step.
Yeah, and the showrunners have always been like, "Oh yeah, I don't know why people are liking Daemon. That's not supposed to happen." And in this episode, yeah, we do kind of get to see those negative traits from Daemon come out, and because I feel like it's been a couple episodes since we've seen them come out, and we get to see him be very controlling and very, he starts speaking for Rhaenyra because because Rhaenyra is now quote unquote queen. He starts feeling like he is the king in this situation. So he starts, he goes into war game mode essentially.
He got a little abusive there for a second too with the choke.
Yeah, surprise, surprise. The guy that killed his first wife.
Yeah.
Might not be so nice to his future wives, But from like Daemon's perspective, you can kind of I guess if you were to try and justify his actions, which you shouldn't, but like I'm just like in Daemon's head, the way I view it is that he sees the Greens killing Viserys. Like I'm sure that he probably believes that Viserys didn't die naturally.
Yeah.
And then just because Aegon immediately that very next day gets the crown put on his head,
Mm-hmm.
and now he thinks, okay, well, Rhaenyra's in danger and all our kids are in danger. And we have Rhaenyra who maybe isn't as aggressive as he thought she would be. And so he's trying to like maybe snap her out of it, I guess.
Yeah.
Or trying to make her understand, hey, we can't be soft on this at all.
Yeah, he did not want her to end up being the peaceful person that her father was.
Yeah.
Because he didn't really like that Viserys was like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because Viserys was too nice, as we've said many times this season. That was his one fatal flaw, was he was too nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it talked about it like in the little behind the show thing. Me and Brayden watched it. But yeah, it essentially says that. It says that Rhaenyra is supposed to have that sort of trait from her father, like the humanity of it. So I think that's also another reason that, what's her name, Rhaenys?
Yeah.
That she sees in this episode specifically, that she kind of boldly takes Rhaenyra's side, because I think that she kind of sees a lot of Viserys in Rhaenyra in this episode, and she kind of sees her humanity, and she talks about it at one point in the episode, but like how Rhaenyra is, the only person in the room that's not calling for just flat out war.
Yeah.
And I think Rhaenys respects that a lot from her, because she does see those traits that Viserys had.
Definitely. And earning Rhaenys' respect is a huge, huge part of this episode, because her husband Corlys has all of the ships. He's got control of the seas. That's what he's been doing for all these years. And Rhaenys kind of tells Corlys, like, hey, this girl is who we should be with, basically.
Yeah, because Corlys is ready to go.
Yeah.
And then Rhaenys convinces him. I would say that I feel like Rhaenys probably didn't have to do a bunch of convincing. I feel like you just have to listen to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you think about it, she's been like right about a lot of things that have gone on this season.
She's a very wise character in this show.
Back on this. Yeah. But yeah, it's funny because I'm sure Rhaenys before this episode viewed Alicent and Rhaenyra kind of in the same vein as just people that are hungry for power and probably a little bit too quick.
They're kind of young and dumb
to take action. Yeah. And so Rhaenyra does set herself apart in Rhaenys' eyes.
Yeah.
So the next big thing that happens in the episode would probably be during the funeral of Rhaenyra's lost baby, Sir Eric.
Not to be confused with Sir Eric.
Yes. He has come from King's Landing in the Red Keep, and he has turned on Otto, and he brought Viserys' crown to Rhaenyra, and he pledged his loyalty to her, and Daemon put the crown on Rhaenyra's head, and everyone kind of bowed down to the queen. That was pretty cool to see. However, there was one person who didn't, which is Rhaenys.
That was before she made her mind up, though.
That was before she made her mind up.
She was still kind of on the fence there. You could tell. I mean, you could kind of see that she like respected it, but yeah, she is one not to really to be convinced easily. So it would make sense that it would take time for her to, kind of warm up. And that was before the like war game shit started happening. So she didn't have time to see that calmer side of her yet. So
yeah.
I was surprised to see how many of the Kingsguard did actually come over to Rhaenyra's side. We had 3, and then we also have the former Lord Commander of the Kingsguard, Westerling. Hasn't taken a side yet, but we had 3 former Kingsguards come over, which I thought was surprising.
Yeah, speaking of the Kingsguard coming over, what did you guys think of the little power play Rhaenyra made when Otto showed up to Dragonstone, flying in on Syrax?
Me and Hunter talked about it while we were watching it, but it's funny because it's like almost shot for shot something that happened, or an episode that happened earlier in the season. I can't remember the exact episode, except Daemon was the quote unquote bad guy, and Rhaenyra was coming to help Otto settle things down.
That is true.
Yeah. But now it's
like
Rhaenyra
the same
coming to help
exact
Daemon settle things down. So it was really cool to see that.
Yeah, no, it was super cool. It was literally like shot for shot, like same exact situation, just different roles this time. But yeah, it's interesting to see like from that earlier situation to now, because the first time that we saw Rhaenyra go here, except on Otto's side, you saw that was like the first big situation in the show where Rhaenyra kind of showed her discipline and her like ability to negotiate, I guess.
Her political prowess.
Yeah, her political prowess.
Yeah.
And yeah, it shows here as well because, like I said earlier, I mean, everyone around her was kind of ready to go. Daemon at one point is like, okay, everyone, you can shut up now. Let's just get it over with. And yeah, Rhaenyra is the one to step up and be like, no, that's not what we're going to do. We're actually going to think about this rationally. And yeah.
Do you think a lot of that came from the page out of the book that Alicent sent her, just to remind her of her childhood and how they are friends?
Yeah, that was an interesting one too. I didn't notice that obviously until I saw it later on like Twitter.
Yeah, it completely flew over my head.
No, yeah, because it like made a big point to show that, and I was like, why'd you give her that little? I thought it was like a drawing. I was like, why'd you give her this drawing?
Yeah, that was from earlier in the season when she ripped out the page.
Yeah, episode 1. I'm pretty sure.
But yeah, no, I think that could probably have a big effect on why she kind of thought rationally in that moment. We've talked about it many times, but it's kind of hard for them, I feel like, to get over what they once had, I guess, in being childhood friends and like growing up with each other. Even if they're feuding and have very, very different beliefs, at the end of the day, it's hard for them, to put that aside 100%. So,
yeah.
And I feel like Alicent sending that is an interesting move on her part as well. Just that page, because it's like, what is she trying to gain by doing this?
Definitely. And I think that's part of kind of why she agrees to Corliss's little plan that he comes up with later on in the episode when he announces that he will give her the fleets and House Valerion will stand with her. His plan is to kind of shut them out, shut their food down, kind of force them to surrender.
Have a little siege action.
Very tactical.
Yeah. And I think that may be kind of why she agrees to it, because that's kind of a civil approach as opposed to just burning the place down with dragons.
Yeah, instead of just leveling the place. Yeah, it's a very, like you force them into submission instead of just murdering everyone.
But also, the terms, they're not that bad. Honestly, the terms that Otto had.
His proposal wasn't that bad.
I mean, no one gets hurt. They still have a place in court. But, it's not.
But do you trust
it's not king
them?
and queen.
Not king and queen. It's not good enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure, like, even if they would accept, there'd always be something there of someone always being like, well, really, it should be you that's ruling the kingdom. Although that never really happened with Rhaenys.
Yeah,
So,
true.
There's that.
People kind of just respected that she once had a claim, but never really had I don't feel like there's ever flat out beef or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's part of why Rhaenys is supporting her? Do you think that has any role in it, or do you think that it's just because she's a good person?
I think it probably has somewhat of a role in it because she probably sees a lot of herself in her and, having to stand up against kind of the patriarchy and break the cycle. And she was in that position once, so she knows kind of the stressfulness of the situation. So I feel like that probably plays somewhat of a role in it.
Yeah. I'm going to kind of change the subject here for a second, but I've got to talk about it. The round table. Not the round table. The table in Dragonstone.
Oh, the cool light table?
That table was so cool.
Yeah, I think it's pretty sick.
How come they didn't use that table in Game of Thrones, man?
That's what I was wondering. I was like, why didn't they turn the lights on in
They
Game of Thrones?
probably didn't know how that shit worked.
They didn't think to put the little candle stuff.
The only people ever in there was Daenerys and the Unsullied, right? I guess Stannis Baratheon was in there for a while too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why they
Stannis isn't fucking with no RGB lighting.
No, he's not. He doesn't care about that.
Yeah. But no, that table is cool. That would be a great war game table. I mean, obviously that's what they're using it for, but I'm sure there's people that play actual war games and that'd be pretty dope.
That is an initial reaction right there is how much do you think that table costs? A replica.
That's a really big table, first off. No lights at all. That thing is huge.
That's the new podcast table.
Goodness.
I wish.
Gonna have to start a Patreon, a GoFundMe.
It's not that much better than ours because there's no chairs in there either.
True. We'd be standing.
We'd be standing.
Start a GoFundMe for this Dragonstone table and chairs.
They spend all the money on the table. They can't afford the chairs, man.
So after Corlys proposes his great plan, Jace and Luke offer to go be messengers to go to the House Aaron and the River Run and Storm's End to deliver messages because, as they said, dragons fly faster than ravens.
Facts.
And they wanted to be the first ones there to try to win those houses over on their side here.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of see a nice little scene between Rhaenyra and Jace and Luke, which, knowing what we know now, that final scene between Rhaenyra and Luke is pretty sad.
Them kind of getting into the dynamic of calling her the queen instead of mom.
Mm-hmm. Your Grace.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was really sad because Jace seemed ready, but Luke the whole entire time during this, he just seemed like he was scared. He seemed pretty frightened to have to take on this big of a role.
Mm-hmm. It's quite a big role to have being so young. It's his first, because I feel like he's gotten a lot of time to prepare and, train and combat and stuff. And he's always known that he's kind of had some sort of a claim to power. So I feel like he's always known that he's at some point going to be kind of thrust into the world actually, instead of just practice wise and like talking about it.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is like the big moment that he actually gets a task that kind of has a greater impact on the realm, so to speak.
He's always been a little scared though, because in the last, I don't know if it was the last episode or the one before that, but he says like he doesn't really want to be heir to Driftmark because that means everybody's dead.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of has a kind heart, a gentle heart.
Yeah. He's still kind of got like that childish, like, you know, optimism, I guess.
Yeah.
Where he kind of just wants everything to just work out.
Yeah.
And it not to have to come to that.
Yeah. But that being said, he had a big boy responsibility here. So he flies Arax over to Storm's End to go talk to Baratheon boy.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a pretty cool scene. The dragons flying out of Dragonstone. You had Meleys, Arax, and what's Jace's dragon's name? Do we have
Hold
the
on.
official dragon
I
guide?
got it.
I actually just
Vermax.
closed it.
Vermax, yes.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool seeing them three fly out of there. It kind of put it into perspective that Arax is pretty small.
Oh, yeah. He's a small guy.
Like, he was really, really small. Is Arax a boy or girl?
No idea.
No idea.
All right.
We'll say he's a guy, though. I don't know. I feel like Meleys and Vhagar are the two girls.
Okay.
Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know.
I don't know.
Small person.
I'll stop
Small
gender.
dragon.
I'll stop gender.
Yeah, that dragon was very tiny.
Gendering the dragon. But yeah, Arax was quite a bit smaller, just like Jace.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a pretty cool scene. Very pretty. Arax's colors were very pretty.
Yeah, it was a pretty little dragon.
Yeah.
It was funny seeing like him ride Arax and just like in comparison to him, how small Arax was.
Yeah. But yeah, he lands at Storm's End and immediately he looks over and you just see Vhagar peeking over the walls.
Yeah, you know, if I see that shit, I'm noping out of there.
Dude, that's what I was saying. I was
a
like,
big no.
why didn't he just leave?
Dude, I was so like, as soon as that happened, I was immediately like, oh shit, Aemon's here.
Yeah,
And
but
That shot reminded me of some like Jurassic Park.
yes,
type
it was
thing.
it was very Jurassic Parky.
Yeah.
But yeah, when he landed there and he saw Vhagar in the distance, I feel like it kind of hit him again of like, my responsibility here, I need to own up to these like fears and stand up to this fear, you know?
Yeah.
Because he sees that big old cloud looming over him and he's like, I think he probably has that thought of, man, I should just leave and wait for the Raven to come. But yeah, no, he realizes, no, I was sent to this on this like task because I am trusted and because she thinks, you know, I am old enough and responsible enough to do this. So I feel like, yeah, he kind of has that moral dilemma there. And then he goes, nope, I'm going to do it.
I don't think anybody would have blamed him for
Yeah, I know.
there when he saw the dragon. I mean,
I certainly would have left.
that's like showing up to your house and you see the bully out front.
Mm-hmm.
Are you really going to go in? Like, I'm not.
He was at such a disadvantage there because one, you got Aemon, and then two, Lord Boros Baratheon, kind of a dick a little bit
Yeah, he's kind of rude.
when he offered the terms, and then
Yeah.
he can't even read the terms.
No.
First off,
No, he was an asswad and illiterate.
Damn.
he's got nothing going. For
Yeah.
him, man. But yeah, he was just at a disadvantage to begin with, and if I was Luke, Aemon is probably the scariest dude I know.
Oh, fuck yeah.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, like with the eye patch, everything, the scar, the dragon.
And knowing he blames you for
Yes.
having one
Yeah.
eye.
He wants your eye.
Yeah, you just have to sit there and think he thinks I did that to him. Like 100% that's my fault.
God, that was evil.
Yeah, and it sucks because Rhaenyra sent Luke to Storm's End because they are directly related. Boros
Yes.
Baratheon and Luke.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly,
Right.
because Laenor is related to the Baratheons.
Yeah.
But it just went the complete opposite way for them.
Boris only saw that as an offering of what he's offering is better than what you're offering. So get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, it seemed like he didn't really have like a lot of honor and like it didn't really seem like he cared on which side he was fighting for at all whatsoever. It was just, what's in it for me.
Yeah, and then even at the beginning or the end of the first episode, when Rhaenyra is, I was about to say crowned heir, but named heir, and then all the lords kneel in obeisance, as Otto would say.
Obeisance, yes.
To Rhaenyra. Lord Boros I believe it was his father at this point.
Yes.
When he kneeled, he didn't look too happy about it. So the Baratheons, I just don't think were a fan of a woman ruling anyway.
Yeah, no, I could 100% see that. The Baratheons kind of are a very proud bunch, and I feel like they also value their individuality a lot, because Luke does remind him, oh yeah, aren't you going to keep the promise that your dad made? And then he gets a little upset, and he's like, why are you going to bring my dad up, like, and act like that has anything to do with me?
Yeah.
So
I will say he did kind of save him in a way from getting his eye out, because he said, not here.
yeah, even he had some honor to be like, all right, if you're going to do that, can you at least leave?
Yeah, well, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, they did.
Because Luke jetted out of there, and
Luke said, oh, thank God I made it away safely.
then he steps outside into a monsoon.
Yeah.
And he hops on Arax to leave, and he's followed.
If there's one thing scarier than seeing Vhagar in that storm, like when he arrives at Storm's End, it's completely even more scarier to see Vhagar not there.
Yeah. He walks
Yes.
out and he's gone.
Yes.
And he's like,
Because where did he go?
He was ready to fucking go, man. He was ready for
Yeah.
some action. She was
yeah.
ready for some action at that moment.
Dude, that one of the coolest shots, I think, of this whole entire show was as Arax was flying away, you just see Vhagar fly over.
Yeah, Vhagar's shadow.
And you
through
just see the
clouds,
shadow
man.
of how
Yeah.
big Vhagar is compared to Arax.
When that shot was like, when it was showing Arax from below and it was showing him flying, I was like, oh man, I hope there's a lightning strike and then you just see Vhagar. And then it happened and I was like, oh yeah, that's pretty sick.
It was terrifying, honestly.
Yeah, so scary. Just the giant cloud overhead, and you really get to see the size difference there.
Such a cool little dragon chase that we had there. That was one of the cooler scenes in this whole show, I think.
Yeah, we've never really got that in Game of Thrones either, I don't think. I mean, dragon on dragon fighting.
No.
Yeah, it was pretty cool to see.
The most CG work for sure.
Yeah.
Luke had him going for a bit there, using Arax's speed over Vhagar.
Yeah, because while we were sitting there watching it, I was kind of thinking, I was like, man, like, what could Arax possibly have over Vhagar? And I was like, well, Arax has to be like quicker and like swifter, and like able to like cut some corners. And yeah, Eric started, cutting some corners, losing her for a second. He went in the little crevasse.
Yeah, it was one of those situations where, like, while Arax may have been faster, those wings of Vhagar were so big that he would just make up ground if you weren't like weaving in and out of things.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
then we finally get out of the storm. We see Arax come out of the storm, and it's kind of this really beautiful shot.
Oh yeah, it was so pretty
with the sun over the clouds, and it was kind of a moment where it was like, oh shit,
the calm before the storm, man.
It really felt in that moment. I was like, something, this dragon's about to get eaten.
Yeah, I was sitting there and I was like, this episode's about to end, and it's a season finale. I feel like something's about to happen, because it was like too peaceful. Like the audio kind of cuts out, and it just goes to like that trademark Game of Thrones House of Dragon when some shit's about to pop off. That like quiet,
Yep.
So.
Yep. And then out of nowhere, you get the giant chomp.
Just one swift bite.
One swift bite. Vhagar eats Arax. And
possibly Luke.
Probably Luke. I think it's safe to say that Luke didn't survive that.
Well, I don't think he survived it. Yeah. It's either did he die by the fall damage, or did he die by the chomp?
I'm going to go chomp.
Yeah, I think chomp is probably safe.
There's a lot of teeth in that dragon's mouth, and that dragon's mouth was massive.
That was a quiet ride home for Aemond.
Oh, dude. his
flying back.
his dragon flight home while he's just sitting there in silence.
I guess we have to talk about the fact that these dragons started warring each other completely out of control of the dragon riders.
Yeah, it's a callback to one of the previous episodes. Viserys literally says that the idea that we control the dragons is an illusion.
Yeah, and like man should have never gotten involved in the first place with them.
Yeah, it's just the fact that the dragons can feel the emotions of the riders in the Game of Thrones universe. I feel like that's just the dragons both acting on the emotions of their riders, but also just trying to defend themselves.
Yeah, and it showed us in the episode prior to that, it kind of reinforced the emotional connection when Rhaenyra was having her miscarriage and, it was cutting to Syrax.
Yeah.
That's true. It also kind of shows why Vhagar would have felt the need to attack Arax, because it kind of seemed like Aemond was taunting Luke, like he was laughing at him. And so it's kind of like he was toying with his prey. And that's kind of, I feel like, what Vhagar, she felt like she should be doing with Arax.
He was getting her amped up.
Yeah. I love this part so much of the show because I thought it was so interesting to see Aemond and Luke. At the end of the day, like they were kind of just doing what they did in their childhood and kind of just having that little bullying back and forth, the like childhood picking on each other stuff. But they got to see firsthand nowadays they are not children anymore and that their actions have direct consequences.
And they're playing with fire, literally.
Exactly.
Yeah. Arax is an idiot of a dragon.
Arax kind of sucked.
For breathing fire at Vhagar. That was pretty stupid. But, he felt threatened. And then she felt threatened.
And she was like, I'll just show this little guy.
Not a fair fight. Not a fair fight. Well, and then the final shot of season 1 is Rhaenyra finding out the news that her son is dead.
The Mad Queen being ushered in, man.
Lost 2 kids this episode.
Yeah, she had a rough episode.
And you know what? 100% whatever she does next season, it's justified.
It is. And you know what she said this episode? That she wasn't going to be the one to strike first.
Yeah.
And she wasn't.
Yeah. It's
but
true.
Technically neither was Aemond, but Vhagar struck first.
It was the shot heard around the world.
We'll give Aemond some blame there. He didn't have to do what he was doing.
Yeah. We'll blame Aemond.
He knew Luke was terrified for his life.
But he also realized that he fucked up.
Yes.
Yeah. It'll also be interesting to see next season kind of if Aemon owns up to it or if he just,
blames the dragon.
Blames the dragon. I feel like, honestly, he'll probably own up to it and kind of take the notoriety and like the fame, whether it be bad or good, that comes along with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're either just going to be someone who's like, I didn't mean to. Yeah. I didn't mean to do it.
I think it could also be problematic to be like, oh, well, the dragon didn't listen to me.
It was an accident. Yeah.
Because then the people would be like, oh, his dragon doesn't even trust him at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there's one more thing I think we should address that I think goes into next season, and that is the scene with Daemon when he goes into the crypts. I don't know exactly where that is.
That's the Dragon Mount. It's in Dragonstone.
Okay. But this is where we find
Vermithor.
It's literally
that guy.
Like a video game type villain name or something like that.
Vermithor seemed really big though.
Yeah, Vermithor is the second biggest dragon alive right now, supposedly behind Vhagar.
Yeah, It seemed pretty huge. I love that scene too, though, when Daemon going down into like that crypt and then just singing in High Valyrian, like trying to calm the beast. Oh, I love that. That was so cool.
I had to shit my fucking pants.
Yeah, I wonder which person will try and claim Vermithor.
Lay claim.
Ride.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to see who has the balls to do that one.
Who's left?
I know. That's what I was thinking. Like, who's even left to put the hat in?
That's kind of what they were talking about.
Yeah, no, Daemon brought it up that they were going to try and get recruit dragon riders. And so we'll see how that goes. I'm sure there'll be a couple deaths.
Mm-hmm. Woof, woof.
There's my dragon.
Yeah. I mean, it could be Bela. Baela Targaryen? Is that the one without?
No,
Yeah,
it's
dragon?
Rhaena.
Rhaena?
Yeah, she still doesn't
It
have
could
one.
be her.
Baela has Moondancer. Yeah, when he was discussing all of the dragons, I was like, dang, there's quite a few dragons.
There
Yeah, I know. There's a lot.
Well, this is going to kick off the Dance of the Dragons. Feel like this whole entire war might cover all of season 2, possibly.
We'll see. It's supposed to go 4 or 5 seasons now, is what George R. R. Martin has said he wants the show to go. So we'll see. I'm sure it'll be much more of a slower pace in this next season.
Mm-hmm.
We'll definitely won't have as many cuts. I don't know if there'll be I don't think anyone knows if there'll be like a couple year jump for the beginning of season 2 or not, but
yeah,
we'll see.
We've at least hopefully settled into our actors now.
Hopefully. I wonder. I don't think they'll change any of the kid actors at this point.
Yeah.
Kid,
no,
in quotes. They're not really kids.
Yeah.
But now that we're settled into our actors, it's nice. We can actually kind of get used to them now, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, we really enjoyed reviewing this season. This was our first series we've ever reviewed. I think it went well. It was
weekly episodic reviewing, talking. It was an interesting little thing that we've done.
I'm excited to get back to movie reviews. Get some movie news going.
I know. It's been a long time.
It's been a while. We probably won't know what to do with ourselves.
I don't. Yeah, I'm not going to know how to talk about movies. I mean, we've gone 10 weeks in a row of this episodic television.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what we're going to do, but
it will be fun to get back into movies, though. It's been a while.
And whenever they do decide to come out with season 2 of House of the Dragon,
can't come soon enough. Honestly, I wish we could just watch season 2 now. But
well, you know what? The PodRats will be there when it comes.
Just know, loyal PodRats listeners, in 2 years we'll be here.
Yeah, no, I was pleasantly surprised by this season. High expectations coming in, or low expectations. Actually, I'm not sure which one.
Yeah, I think I talked about it in the first podcast that we did about the show, but I kind of had mixed. I was kind of like, you're kind of still on that letdown from the Game of Thrones ending, and you're like, you aren't that excited about another Game of Thrones universe show. But in the first episode, I kind of threw all that out the window because I was like, there's a bright flash going on behind me on the TV.
Sorry, that's Vermithor?
Is that Vermithor breathing?
It's a great shot.
Is that Vermithor breathing some fire in the crypt?
Yes. Sorry.
Okay. But yeah, in the first episode, I kind of realized that this show has that, that sort of textbook HBO polish on it of just everything is just so nice. Cinematography was great. Ramin Djawadi on the keys, as always.
Never misses.
Never misses. The music is great in the whole show. Actors are great. So,
yeah, I was curious. There's been some mutterings on social media of if season 1 of House of the Dragon is better than season 1 of Game of Thrones. And that's an interesting one.
That is interesting.
I would say maybe I might prefer the Game of Thrones season 1 over this one, purely just because of the time jumps in this season made it a little bit choppy.
Yeah, I think so too.
But that being said, like, I did love this season. Like, all the performances were top notch. Like, I'll probably talk about Paddy Considine as Viserys for a while. He did so good in this. Yeah. And then we have Emma Darcy. They did so well. And Matt Smith just killed it.
Matt Smith is great. Yeah, no, he's so good. I remember when Matt Smith got casted and everyone was kind of shitting on it for a second and was like, oh, I don't know about this casting choice. And I was kind of thinking about like Matt Smith in a wig. And I was like, kind of sounds a little weird. But yeah, he was great. He was awesome. Definitely probably for me, like the standout so far.
No, I agree with everything you guys just said. That this season just brought back the nostalgia of a couple years ago. And I've really enjoyed just getting together every week and watching a show that we all enjoy watching and it delivering on such a high level.
Yeah.
And I am pumped to see where they go with this. And I'm glad that we're going to get this for the next decade, probably. This is going to be
something like that. Yeah,
this is going to be a decade-long
adventure.
I mean, if it's only 5 seasons, I hope not. I hope they find a way to make it faster, but probably not. You're probably right.
Yeah.
But it'll be fun. It'll be fun to do.
It is. I mean, it's a good point. There's very few shows nowadays that kind of have an impact like this show does, where it's getting people together every week to watch it. Everyone is talking about it right after it happens. It's been a long time since there's been like a show like that. And the last one I can remember is Game of Thrones in the last season.
Yeah, it's just going to continue to deliver, I feel like. And maybe maybe we'll have to do a show before then if they come out with Snow at any point. I know that's rumored, the Jon Snow sequel. So we'll see. Whatever happens, the PodRats will be there. Thank you guys for listening to our series and keeping up with us every week, hanging out. Until next time, put yourself first and take care of each other. Bye, guys.